My home waters are finally open. This place is where I cut my teeth, really learning how to fly fish for carp. I've had many 40 plus fish days here, and it's where I typically catch my biggest carp. I know this place extremely well, but I was really excited to be able to get out here. It's still early and pretty murky. It'll clear up as the year goes on, but I was able to get out and visit some old friends, I guess you could say. So had a group of three coming over here, drag and drop, and it was actually the smallest of the group that came over and hit it. See the fly drop in right there. A little bit of a chase there as I pulled it in front of him. He ate it and got the first fish on. This location is the first place I ever actually did any drone footage and made a video, and what I suggested then, I suggest now. This is just a place where it's very difficult to move around and get on the carp. You just scare them so easy. So a lot of times I have to set up in places like this, these funnel locations where the carp are moving through, and wait for them to show up. And that's what I did here. So these three came over. And again, drag and drop with a little bit of a jig action to get this fish to eat. But if you go actively, especially this time of year, if you actively go after these fish or move around, even walking along the bank, it really scares them. Now you can set up on the bank for that one there, or on the paddleboard, and then wait for a good opportunity to make a cast. But it's really difficult to actively chase the fish here. This is another location where I actually spotted a whole group, maybe 20 fish, kind of back in an area. A lot of them were sunning, but there was a few kind of moving around, feeding. And so I set up the paddleboard, trying to give them some space without bothering them, to see if they would separate from the group. The group's above me in this picture. And then there were some that would kind of come in and out of this area. So again, I was just setting up, waiting for an opportunity near this school of fish. And eventually this one came along and was willing to play. Another good fish. So this is actually a little clip of those sunning fish that I was just talking about to the north. This is kind of that area. And you can see there you'd have some others that would come in and out that were actively feeding, while those ones weren't actively feeding. And again, this is that same basic location. I gave it a little bit of a break, trying to find some other fish, but I hadn't scared the sunning fish, so I was able to move back over into this area again and intercept another group coming through here. Now this right here is a mistake. I didn't get the fly in front of them quite enough, or to the side when they came through, and then I tailed this guy right here. So just something you got to be careful with. Ended up hooking him right on the tail. So yeah, mistake made here. Fortunately, he popped off. It's no fun to fight a carp from the tail at all. I thought this was kind of a cool bit of footage that highlights sometimes the struggles of visibility. So I'm looking the other direction as all these fish come up on me right here. I have not seen them, never did even see them. I ended up seeing the cloud after the fact, but they were actually coming in from the sun. The sun was directly from that side. I mean, I didn't see them at all. And I was more focused the other way, but it's amazing sometimes in this footage. Some of what I see after the fact, some of the size of the fish that I didn't see when I was there, and the groups of fish that I wasn't able to see. So huge school out in this area. This really surprised me to see this many. You don't normally find them grouped up nearly this big in this area. But I waited for a couple to separate from the school, drag and drop over. One of the I'm not the smallest, he was the middle one there, decided to eat the fly, and was able to get another one on. I think it's interesting in this footage to see sometimes the way the school and some of the other fish react to the hooked fish. Now, sometimes they get terrified and swim off, but like in that situation, and I think it's probably more pre-spawn, you know, they're starting to get a little frisky, not spawning yet, but definitely pre-spawn. So a fish making a commotion sometimes encourages the other fish to come over and check them out. So I circled around on that big school. I'm on the far side of it right there, hooked another fish here, and then kind of like a bullet through the school. He swam off and actually ended up taking me on a really, really good run all the way to my backing. In shallow water like this, you know, the deepest areas are about waist deep. So for me, maybe 3 to 3.5 feet deep. You know, carp, they're not going to run as far as they would in deeper water, right? They like to get to the bottom and go deep. In this place, there's really no place down for them to run. So you don't typically get the like super long runs that you sometimes get out in deeper water, just because they can't dive. But anyway, he ended up popping off there, but another good fish. And then this last one here, I actually was trying to fish for some fish up above me, and then I spotted this school coming in behind me. And then a little drag and drop, little jig action, you see him turn over, and then he eats it right there. And yeah, real difficult to see these ones. You can kind of see how murky it is right here, and I'm looking from straight above, and I'm just looking for backs here, but was able to connect again and get another nice fish. The best fish of the day I didn't get. It was the one that I showed at the very beginning. I didn't have my drone up. I was just trying to actually find him at that point. It was kind of in a murkier area, but I wasn't able to get any footage there. And I guess I'll show this last one right here. My drone right here, every once in a while, does what's called return to home. So it started doing return home, and I hook a fish right here, right as it goes out of the view. I did have my my Insta360 to capture a little bit of the footage on it. So this is right in that same general area where the last one was. I was able to get 2 out of that area. Another good fish. So most of these fish were roughly, you know, in the 10-pound range. But the one big one was over 20, and a couple real fat ones that were, you know, pushing 15 as well. So it was a good trip. Enjoy the montage.